all having a lovely day. So today I am building another community lot. So recently I just recovered from, I think it was like a cold, wasn't quite flu, it was just not very nice. Whilst I was sick, I had some pretty strange dreams, quite vivid, and one of them I was building. No surprise there, that's what I do all the time. Yeah, so I was building a train, and I don't remember exactly what it looked like, but the next morning I just had to build. So this is kind of what I came up with. So this is the picture that I was going off of, and once we've finished the train, I then add a station in the front, which I turn into a cafe, just to make it so that it was actually a usable lot and not just a debug train with no use. The car that I build behind this train, I've turned into a kind of cross between a museum and a dining car. So my actual idea for this as a whole was that this lot is, I think it's in the Lykke Center, I think that's how you say it, so the modern area of Windenburg. And I thought they probably had at one point a like a railroad or a station or something through here at one point, and since they've modernized the place, they've had to decommission the train, and instead of just scrapping the whole thing, they've turned it into like a, what do you call them, like a heritage site, and they have kept it as it is, but they've just turned it into like a museum. So the dining car is kind of a museum, but you can use it as seating for the cafe too. And so we are just adding the kind of middle touches, I guess, not quite final touches, because I do add quite a lot of this, quite a lot to this, sorry. To my debug train, which I'm really proud of, and the chimney smokes, which I am so chuffed with. I wasn't really sure whether it was gonna work or not, because I tried it out 2 or 3 times, and I just couldn't figure out why it wasn't working, and then I kind of gave up on it and went back to it after I'd finished the rest of the build, and it worked, so I was really happy with that. I've really been enjoying using the tool mod and the debug items to create things lately, and I kind of have, I guess, neglected other parts of my life because I have literally spent so much time building lately, and I really enjoy it, and you know, it's a good creative outlet for very many people, and everyone creates such amazing things that I'm kind of in awe of, and yeah, they've given me some really good ideas for how I can use the mod and different items in different ways. So yeah, thank you to everybody that's been doing some really cool things lately. So right now I am trying to mirror what I did on the other side with the wheels, to try and make them look like they are on, I don't really know what you would call it, but so that they're connected, and I think it looks really cool once I'm finished with it. It did take me quite a long time to get all of the like the height and everything right, and the positioning, but I think it looks really good, so that's why I keep on fading in and out of of different shots, because I'd try a bit and then it would be wrong, and then I'd try it again, and it took a while, but I'm pretty pleased with it. So I finally figured out how to get those flowers to lay on the ground. In my last build, I think I was saying how they're debug items, so they kind of hover a little bit. And yeah, I just used the tool mod to lower them slightly. It did take me a while because it was very, very sensitive, and I'd put it down like a fraction and it would just go straight through the floor and disappear. So I finally figured out what the right like numbers and things to put in. So now we are on to the starting to build the dining car. So I really wanted to make use of these items from Eco Lifestyle, the track and everything, and the whole train base itself is a debug item. So I think it's pretty cool. I did have to size most of the items down once or twice because otherwise they would have just taken over the entire lot and been huge. So I just added the lights onto the dining car. I didn't include that because I think I took about an hour to try and figure out how to do it, and it was too long. But yeah, the whole structure of the train is coming together now, so I'm just adding like the balcony sections. So I've tried to kind of mirror the car back and front so that it's symmetrical, I think, and it looks very much like the pictures that I was going off of, so I'm very happy about that. It did take me a while to figure out what wall paint to use, but we go with this one in the end, and I think it looks really good once it's finished. I add doors and some windows, and I really like them. These are just the base game ones, so they're nothing, you know, special, but they do the job. They're pretty cool. So you'll see me eventually. I add I think it's a wall divider to the doors that I add on the opposite side, to make them look like they're boarded up a little bit. I know that, like, when I was playtesting it, my Sims wouldn't walk out that door anyway because there's no floor on the other side, but I wanted to kind of give it the look as if they couldn't, even if they wanted to, they couldn't go that way. So right now I'm just adding the base for the station. So I try, and I guess I've kind of used my imagination a little bit, but most of it is from memory of the train stations in England, where I am originally from. They kind of all look like this. I really had trouble getting those stairs to connect. Because the train car itself is technically on the second floor, it really didn't want to do what I wanted it to do. But we get there eventually. So out the front here I add a car parking space and a bus stop, and this bit over here I turned into like an electrical storage area, but that item, this is a debug item, it really didn't want to stay there. Every time I did anything structural to the station base itself, that item deleted. So you'll see me try and put it back several times. It's very annoying, but we get there eventually. So it took me ages to try and find a floor tile that matched the surrounding world. I don't know why they can't just give us matching floor tiles or terrain paint to what they have used on the outside of the lot. It's very irritating, but I think this one works okay. So you see me again have to move this thing because it just doesn't want to stay where I want it to. But we eventually make all of these, like the columns and the fencing and the stairs and everything. Eventually I change the colour to I think it's like a dark wood. I'm not entirely sure whether it's black or just a dark wood. I think it's just dark wood. but I wanted it, like I said, to look like the stations in the UK, which most of them are quite old, and they all kind of look the same. So I didn't include the roofing in this because it literally took me about 4 hours to figure it out, and I'm still not 100% on it, but it's kind of the best that I could do. So I think it looks okay, and it does look like the stations I had in mind, so that's a bonus. So just adding some what do you call them, spandrels? I think they're called spandrels. I don't use this one very often. I think it's a base game one, but it's huge. It's so big, and I prefer just like a thin like wooden strip or something over the top. But this one, I think it suits the whole build itself really well. So I add a couple of like landscaped areas in the front, and then that's pretty much it. I do add a little bit under the tracks of the train, but not very much. So I do use a lot of debug items in this build. This one and my next build actually are very, very debug heavy. So those are things I just added to the columns on the station side. I think they're meant to be like street signs or street names, but I thought they looked really good as platform numbers. And now we're just adding lots and lots of flags. I really like these flags. So this is the debug one. There is like a normal catalog one, but I think I was going through the debug menu initially before I kind of went into the normal furnishing menu and pulled out everything that I wanted without realizing that, like these lamps for instance, the street lamps, they are in the normal catalog, but I didn't realize that until I was actually on my second build, not this one, the one I do after this. And so I had to add some like little saucer like ceiling lights, I guess, in the actual lamp section to make them light up, and if I had just used the catalogue ones I wouldn't have needed to do that, but I didn't realise that they were in there. So silly me. So we've just add the landscaping now. Even though there's only like 3 squares on either side, or 4 squares on either side, I add quite a lot here. And I think it looks really nice in the end. And then we add some trees to these, well, I don't really know what they are, like protection thingies. And I don't know what these are called either, but I thought they looked really good there. And on the opposite side to where I was, so the opposite side to where the cars are, sorry, I put some bikes there. So I really like these benches that I just put down. They have that kind of really nice weathered look to them that I thought really suited this build. Unfortunately, when I went to playtest it, I couldn't get any of the Sims to sit down on them, and I couldn't even click them to try, so I had to change them out to like just normal garden benches, which they look okay. They look very similar, they just don't have the same sort of texture, I guess. So now we're on to the inside. So that room that I was just putting the door on is like a storage kitchen area, and then this room here is the bathroom. So I quite like what I did with the bathroom. I couldn't quite get it to work how I initially wanted, because I think it's like 5 squares across, like 5 by 3, and I wanted to add a wall down the middle, and I couldn't do that. So instead I put the sinks, and I think I put 2 counters and then separate them by 2 mirrors. So it is still technically 1 room, but it kind of gives off the illusion that it's 2, and yeah, I'm really happy with it. I really like it. I don't normally keep bathrooms in my speed builds. If you've watched any of my other videos, you will know that I don't enjoy bathrooms very much, because they all tend to look the same. They're usually quite small, and I don't really enjoy building them too much. But this one I thought looked really good, so I thought I'd keep it in and let you all kind of see what I did with it. So over near the window I add like a little bench seat and a bin, and I think on one of them, you'll see in the screenshots in the end, I added a like a nappy and a bottle, so it kind of looks like a changing table a little bit, and I think that looks really good. So I was going to put a sign above the doors for this, but I figured everybody knows what's in there, so there doesn't really need to be a sign. So I don't add too much decoration to these bathrooms, so just some pictures on the wall here, and that's pretty much it. So over into the other room, I initially had this set as residential whilst I was building, so I don't go in and do the cafe area until right at the end. So now we're just adding some terrain paint to the track area. So I was trying to remember what actually is underneath a track, whether it was just like soil, whether it was grass, and I realised I never really paid that much attention to what's underneath the train track. But I think it's like gravel. So I add this. I think it's meant to be for like the bottom of a river, but I thought it looked really good, and then I just layer on 2 or 3 different other types of terrain paint. I think there's some soil and some grass and the little stone pathway paint that I use all the time. So underneath the rest of the track, I go back in with more debug items, and I pretty much just use like grasses. I think they're just like long grasses, and then I put some small flowers and some mushrooms underneath it because I think they look really cool. So just finishing off the landscaping out the front, and then I wanted to check what it looked like with the lights off, or at night, sorry, because this is when I realized that those lights didn't work. So I just add some ceiling lights, size them down and raise them up so that they fit quite nicely into the lamps. And then I add the flowers to them later because I thought they looked a bit plain as they were. So now we are on to the dining car. So this one, I wanted it to look quite old, like say the whole train itself had been decommissioned and was just sitting here as like a museum. So this is the divider I was talking about. So just thought it kind of looked like the doors had been boarded up, and I think it looks really cool. So I only add 6 tables in here. I leave the middle empty and then just put this nice rug down the middle. Everything in here is very red and gold and dark woods, because I thought it was very kind of fitting for you know, like an old train car, dining car, sorry. So now we are into the like storeroom, kitchen behind the coffee counter, once I put it there. So in here, I'm not really sure whether the sink is functional. It should be, but when I was playtesting, my my sim went and washed up in the bathroom for some reason. But I think it looks really good in here. I add a couple of bits under the sink, so that may be why. But yeah, so this is like the library area, I suppose. So most of the train stations that I've been in have usually got just like a couple of books or magazines or something for people that are waiting to read. So I wanted to kind of recreate that, but probably went a little bit overboard, and it's more like a shop stall now. So it looks like you're probably somewhere that you buy the books from, not just borrow them from. But I think it looks really good, so I just add a couple of different book stacks and then a pencil pot on the top shelf. I wanted to use a lot more here than I kind of had space for, so I took out all the things that I wanted to use and then realized that I just didn't have the space for them, unfortunately, but I think it looks really good still. So I sized this little polar bear one down because it's so much bigger than all of the others for some reason, but I think it looks really good in the end. So anybody that's in the coffee shop can come and read some books if they want to. So now I'm just adding the station sign to the top of the building. So that clock that I've got up there, I eventually delete that. I did want to use it, but it just looked very strange once I was kind of looking at the build as a whole. It stuck right out, and every time I tried to clip it into the like building up the top, it kind of lost all of its color, if that makes sense. Like I don't know, it was very strange, and it just didn't work, so I ended up deleting it and just putting a normal wall clock there. So now we're just adding some more finishing touches to the storeroom. I think I add a pipe on the wall and a trash chute and a couple of other bits and pieces. I think it looks really good, really fitting for a storeroom. So now I'm just adding these signs everywhere. I thought it looked quite I don't know what the word is. But I liked the fact that there were signs everywhere. Looking back at it now, I kind of wish that I had used the tool mod to rotate some of those signs so that it looked like the front of the debug item that I had used. But I still think it looks really good. So now I'm just adding some plaques and things so that it shows that this is meant to be a museum. And I add a couple of cracks on the walls here because I wanted to make it look like it was quite an old building. And the graffiti on the wall, I add some more graffiti a bit later. And inside I add a couple of like watermarks on the wall to make it kind of emphasize the fact that it's an older building. So I add some pet bowls outside, and I add some toys on the inside for children. So it's very much everybody can come to this lot, I think. So there's the mailbox. I really like using all of these like world items. I think they make it kind of look more lived in, more natural. So just add a couple of cleaning items under the sink, and I add quite a lot to this counter up the top here. I don't think you need this counter for anything, and when I was playtesting they didn't have any use for it, so I pretty much cluttered the whole thing up. So this sign that I'm about to put above the door right now, I thought it looked like a kind of staff only sign, and if you don't choose to download this, you can just lock the door for like employees only and things, so I think it kind of is really fitting. So this lot will function as a cafe, but you can change it to whatever type you like. But that was the lot that I kind of had in mind. So this fence here, the debug item, it took me ages to try and figure out how to get it to not make the fence bit disappear, like the chain disappear. And I just had to bring it like slightly forward, and it seemed to work fine. It's not meant to be like an accessible area for The Sims, it's just for display, but I thought it looked really good. So now we are just adding these grassy bits to under the track area. I used these in my townhouse collab, and I thought they looked really good, so I used them, quite a few of them. in this one, and I think they kind of really give it the look that this train hasn't gone anywhere for quite a while, and I think it looks really good in the end. And I add a couple of like ivy from vampires to the wall, and I really like the way that I've used the I think it's a fence from Get Famous, the floor sticker, the yellow and black kind of looks like the line across the edge of the platform, and I think that looks really cool. So in here I really wanted to use 2 tables and chairs, like 2 sets, but I highly underestimated the size of the coffee bar and I honestly thought that it was smaller than what it is, so when I go to put that in here I do have to delete that second table and chairs, unfortunately, but they do have the whole dining car to sit in and all of the benches outside, so they didn't have any shortage of seating. But I'm just glad that I didn't have to rebuild the whole thing just because this thing is so huge. But you know, 1 table and chairs looks pretty good, so just adding some more clutter items to the coffee counter. I add some tea bags up on the shelf there, and I really cluttered up that shelf back there. I wasn't really sure what to put there. I wanted to put some counters back there and things, but I just didn't have the space in the end. So I just put some shelving and lots of bottles and things. So there's the tea bags, and I used quite a lot of those coffee bags, and I sized one up and put it in the like storage area out the back. I think that looks really good. So we are coming to the end now, so if you have enjoyed this speed build, then you can download it from the gallery. It is available now, and if you would like to subscribe for more debug highly cluttered builds, I'd really appreciate it. So stay tuned for the screenshots, and there's a short video of the engine working, or chimney steaming. I think it looks really cool. So yeah, I hope you're all having a good day, and I will see you all next time. Bye everyone.